Welcome, everyone. This is the 10th part of our series looking at where the United States stands in comparison to other industrial democratic countries. And we're going to talk a lot about budgets and taxation and priorities. So let's look at this. First of all, our budget, the size of our budget, we're the number one in the world. We have a larger budget than any other country in the OECD and, frankly, any other country throughout the industrialized world. Our budget for 2025 was a little over $7 trillion. But the interesting thing is we only brought in a little over $5 trillion. So where does the rest come from? Well, we had to borrow the money. Where do we borrow money from? Well, we borrow it from ourselves. About 2/3 of the money that we have to borrow comes from the Federal Reserve and it comes from bonds. But also 1/3, however, comes from international borrowing. And the biggest country that supplies us with money is Japan. And China's up there too. But 1/3 of all our debt comes from other countries. Well, what do we spend on? What are the big items that the federal government spends on? The biggest item of all, out of that $7 trillion, is Social Security. That's $1.5 trillion. Medicare comes in next at $990 billion. And then comes Medicaid at $902 billion. And then, interestingly, the fourth largest item of all is interest on the national debt. We have to pay that. There's no way of getting around that. And then the fifth largest is our defense budget, about $860 billion. Now, in terms of defense, the United States has absolutely the biggest defense budget or biggest military budget anywhere in the world. I think it's like the next 10 combined countries don't come up to what we spend. Now, one of the things that was certainly unique and different in the second Trump administration is the imposition of tariffs. Whether or not we don't really know, this issue is so convoluted and so chaotic. We don't know where this is going to land, but tariffs are going to mean a tax on American people. If you're a consumer, you're going to pay more. We've also had Republican tax cuts. The interesting thing is, starting with Ronald Reagan, we had a big tax cut when he became president. When George W. Bush came in, big tax cut. When little George Bush came in, big tax cut. And when Donald Trump came in for the first time, big tax cut. And when he came in again, big tax cut. And the tax cuts are going almost decidedly for those who are the wealthiest people in the country. When we look at taxes, however, throughout the other countries in the OECD, we're number 16. We tax a lot, but we also are not taxing as much as other countries are. And those countries, of course, are taxing in terms of social welfare, in terms of education, in terms of the domestic things that we are just simply not doing the way they are. One of the things that all countries in the OECD have, except for us, is a value-added tax, a VAT. We're the only country that relies on city and state sales taxes as opposed to having a national value-added tax. So there you have it in terms of our budget. The new budget for fiscal year 2026 is not completed yet. And of course, right now, as we're doing this, we're in a government shutdown, so we don't really know what's going. It's a work in progress. But suffice to say that some of our most important and most expensive programs deal with health care in this country. And then they come up with interest on the national debt is a very important thing too. Our indebtedness, we're number 4 in the world. Japan is number 1. But we're in serious trouble with our national debt and with how much money we're not bringing in and how much money we're spending. Well, if you're as appalled as I am on these things, let me know. Let me know what you're thinking about. If you want to look at some other resources, I have my website you can look at, www.weirdnumber.one, we're number one. And that looks into what President Trump is doing in his second term. Also, there's my book, which is called We're Number One, and also my Substack newsletter called We're Number One. And if you want to look at those, I think we'll have a lot more information available. Next time, we're going to look at climate change and see what's going on with the United States and climate. So thank you for watching.